Real people, real breakthroughs. This is the Psychology of Eating podcast, where psychology and nutrition meet to uncover the true causes of our unwanted eating concerns. Your relationship with food will never be the same. Now, here's your host, eating psychology expert, and founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, Marc David.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. Here we are in the Psychology of Eating podcast. And I'm here today with Jody. Welcome, Jody.
Hi there.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're doing this. Yay. Thanks for being so brave. So let me say a few words for listeners and viewers about the podcast in case you're tuning in for the first time. So we're going to go less than an hour, and Jody and I are going to do a client session. And in this client session, we're going to try to take about 6 months to a year's worth of work and condense it into a one-time session, which is a little bit of that's a little bit crazy and a big target to hit, but it's totally doable. And my intention is by the time we finish today, you're going to come away with some insights and some understandings and hopefully something you can really use. So Jody, why don't you start by sharing, if you could wave your magic wand and get whatever outcome you wanted from our time together, what would that look like?
Perhaps to understand myself a little better as to why I continually sabotage myself with all the knowledge that I have from your good self and many, many years of research. I know what to do. I know what I could do and couldn't do, but I just seem to derail myself a little bit.
So you're derailing yourself when it comes to food. What is it that you want that you're not getting?
To be able to not use food as a reward, to not be drawn to the treats. I have an insatiable sugar fix. I have a sweet tooth, and I use it people ask me what's my favorite food, and I always tongue-in-cheek jokingly say dessert, and it's the truth. It's the truth.
So are you trying to lose weight?
That's been interesting because since doing the Transform Your Relationship with Food, I have gained so much from doing that. Weight I have forgotten about. I don't think about numbers and scales anymore, but I know for my health, I'm a menopausal woman, and so I am carrying weight differently than what I ever have done. But it's for my longevity, my health. I'm aware that what I do with sugar is predisposing me to health issues down the track. I'm at the moment doing pretty well, but I'm feeling my body. I'm feeling aches and pains in my body that I've never experienced before.
And you're feeling those aches and pains, you believe, because of eating too much sugar, because of weight? What is it?
I'd say because of the sugar, and I'd say, definitely. I mean, I am carrying more weight than. No, I don't want to say what I like, because I have learned to appreciate my body and I like my body, but there are some roles where they oughtn't to be. They get in the way of my movement. Being a bit diplomatic, I suppose. And
So part of this is I really want to drill down here to what you want. So I think I hear. So I'm not actually sure what you want right now. What outcome you want. I heard part of the outcome is you want to put your knowledge to good use. That's what I heard, and not be kind of sabotaging yourself. And then I heard in there that you love sugar, you love desserts, you don't want to eat so much of that, and that's a health issue for you. And it sounds like you want to change your weight, sort of maybe, okay, like do you have a number? I want to lose this amount of weight?
No, because I haven't for many years. I lost 48 kilos probably about 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say probably numbers, I might have 20 or so might have crept back on again. And I learnt from then not to be so hung up on the numbers, because that used to drive me to distraction, because I would get on the scales and I would weigh myself, and that would just, I would be feeling pretty terrific, and I'd jump on the scales before I went out the door, and that would be the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even go out the door because the numbers didn't tell me what I wanted to see. So when I touch my body, when I feel it, yes, there's flesh there that wobbles, that moves, that would be better off not. I would prefer not to be there.
Okay, got it. So the sugar piece. How often are you going against your best wishes and eating in a way that you don't want to eat? How often does that happen?
It's become daily now.
Mm-hmm. Once a day,
Yeah,
more than once a
it's
day?
daily.
How many times a day?
Yeah, once a day. It'll be once, maybe twice, when I really, when I go, oh, what the heck. It seems to be, like my code for coffee, when I say I'm going to go and have a coffee with friends or whatever, it always means cake.
Mm-hmm.
That's, so it'll be in the morning usually.
And how much will you have of the thing that you think you shouldn't eat?
Not a lot. I'll have a muffin, a cake. It'll be some chocolate. There'll be it's a moderate amount, I suppose, in a sense. Now that I'm talking about it, that's what I do. I talk myself out of it. I think I don't have that much. I only have a little bit, but whatever it is, I've still got the belly.
So I want to get a sense of what amount. So if you have a muffin, how big is the muffin? Show me with your hands.
It's a muffin.
Okay.
A big muffin.
And if you have a cake, what does that look like? How big?
A slice of cake.
A slice of cake.
A slice of cake.
And if you have chocolate, how much chocolate? What kind of chocolate?
Well, that's where that'll be the hazelnut milk chocolate. I can probably down a 250 gram block.
Mm-hmm. How big is that? Show me.
Yeah, I know now. I know. It's a block so big by so wide.
Got it.
Like normal. Yeah.
Got it. So you'll do one of those things you mentioned per day.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happens after that? How do you feel? What do you do?
Whilst I was eating it, I used to be berating myself. What are you doing this for? This is ridiculous. Now I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. Then afterwards, I don't feel so good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially if it hasn't been really good quality. I made a promise to myself that if I was going to have treats, that I was going to have the best.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be well worth my while. I was going to enjoy it and love the textures and do all that sort of stuff. That does happen, but more often than not, it's just a horrible, cheap. And I tend to find myself going to different coffee shops and things so that I'm not recognised and I do that. So I avoid the ones where I know where the good stuff is.
Mm-hmm. Because you might see people there that you know.
Yeah, all the people that work there will see me there constantly, and gee whiz, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you feel like you're committing a crime and you don't want anybody to know you're committing a crime.
That often.
Yeah, that often. So if it's a different place all the time, then nobody's going to recognize you and go, oh, there's the lady that eats that muffin every day.
Here comes the muffin lady. We know what she wants. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So how long have you had this particular challenge with, I know what I'm supposed to do, I'm just not doing it?
Long time, David. As I said, like 15 years ago, lost the weight. Now I speak in kilos. I'm sorry, I can't translate that into pounds. So 48 kilos, which was a fairly substantial amount of weight. So even it's been always as a little girl, weight has always been on my mind. I
Since
was
how
always
old?
little tiny girl. My dad used to slap my thighs when I was little and tell me that I could play for the local football team for Carlton. I had good football playing thighs. And
How old were you?
Oh, 4, 5.
Uh-huh. Wow.
I was always teased at school about being I was a round child. I sort of classify people in sticks and balls. I was round. Looking at photos, I wouldn't say that I was overweight, but I obviously, I either showed, children, when you show your vulnerability, they'll go for it. So I was teased a lot.
So how did you manage that? How did you deal with that? Did that ever change for you at some point?
Yeah, I became very quiet. I disappeared. I was one of the little shrinking violets, so no one could see me. So I was quite, people didn't really know whether I was there or not. Yeah.
Were you like that in your 20s as well?
I got a lot of attention when I was in my 20s that I was terrified of, and it was kind of confusing because in my mind, felt that I would shrink and be little and disappear. Because again, it was the same sort of thing. When I look back at photos, my gosh, I did not have an issue whatsoever, but I always, in my mind, thought that I was not acceptable. I was, yeah.
So in your 20s, you were getting a lot of attention because you looked a certain way, you weighed a certain amount. What was happening?
Because I looked a certain way. Yeah. It was unwanted attention. I was, commented on and.
It's kind of strange, isn't it? When we have like, oh my goodness, a round body and we get all this attention, i.e., and then people or kids might make fun of us. And then if you have the body that you think you're supposed to have, so everybody's happy, you still get attention. It can still be uncomfortable.
Ish. That's it. I was, I became a voluptuous 20-year-old. So I had curves, as they say, in all the right places that I saw as weight, as wrong, as well. I didn't want. They were wrong because they were getting me the attention that I didn't want to get. It was uncomfortable, so it was doubly wrong. So it was. I felt I wasn't svelte and lean and slim. And the attention that I was getting because of my curves made me uncomfortable and made me feel wrong. So again, it was wrong. So right. I still didn't like it.
Ooh, damned if you do, damned if you don't here, huh?
That's it. God
Interesting.
Lord. Yeah.
So, are you married? Have you been married?
I have been married. I was married for 18 years and have 4 beautiful children. I have been divorced for 15 years.
Uh-huh. Do you want to be in a relationship again? What's your...
I've had a lot of rocky road around that. I'm not a real good picker. I would love to. I have berated myself, turned 53 and next month and thought, my goodness, I'm still a hopeless romantic. It's time to get on with it, get over it. And then I've decided that I'm not pining for it. I get on with my life. But if, I still love the idea and the institution of marriage and the thought of a relationship. Absolutely. For other people, it's wonderful. It works. I don't know about me. Mm-hmm. I'd like it, but me.
Do you think you have to look a certain way or weigh a certain amount at this point to have a partner?
I didn't think I did. I had my last reasonably long-term relationship. But now that I'm a single woman, I have noticed that I'm sneakily judging myself around that. Mm-hmm. Even it's the furthest thing from my mind. I have other things to concentrate on at the moment. I struggled quite a bit with the failure of my last relationship. So emotionally, it affected me more than I expected it to. Mm-hmm. And so it's taken a little while to get back on my feet. Now I'm feeling a lot better with a lot of work that I've been doing. And so I have just started to go out with friends. It would be a bit social. And I have, now that you asked the question, noticed how it's the funniest thing. If there is a potential suitor or somebody that I would think, it's just, I have noticed my thoughts going to my physical. I don't think I've got the confidence to even do that. I come across as I can talk a lot, I'm very social and whatever, but I think I'm probably an introvert who's very extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
If that,
Yeah, I think I understand. So, so you notice that you get, and by the way, I'm going to jump around and ask different questions in different places here, and there is a method to the madness. So it'll all come together. So you notice that you feel different when you eat sugar in your body. What do you notice?
Initially, when I'm eating it, it's bliss.
Right.
Like, this is really, this is terrific. So with your teachings, I've learned to really be in the moment, and if I'm going to have it, love it, really enjoy it. Or I become quite critical about it. I'll be thinking, well, this isn't so good or whatever. Afterwards, I get disappointed with I get disappointed. I think, I had a plan that I was going to just do, green juice or just clean food. Don't go too extreme. Just keep it on the level, and try to do, I've done a lot of reading into people, say if you can abstain for, a period of time, 3 days or whatever, tiny little amount of time, that'll lessen it. And I have had that experience because I have done that in the past. But I've got this defiant little person in me that just tells them all to go and get stuffed. If I want it, I'll have it. So I battle with myself. So when I've had it, I've allowed myself to have it. Then afterwards, I feel disappointed with myself. And then the defiant side comes in and says, oh, look, to hell with them all.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens after the defiant side gets her airtime? Then what does it change into?
If I'm not careful, I can just go the hack. I can go out and have another coffee and another cake, or I'll go shopping and oops, that bar of chocolate slipped into the trolley, and I know I'll go home and eat it all. Mm-hmm. I think, well, may as well just get rid of it because it's, yeah.
Got it. So in your mind, if you didn't have this challenge anymore, if you didn't have this problem, how would life be different? What would your life look like? Like if this was gone? If this is totally handled.
It's gone?
Yeah. Describe your life to me, how it's different.
I would probably have a lot more energy because I wouldn't be battling with this. And because it's a sneaky battle, it happens way back in the tiny little parts of my mind. So I'm using up a lot of energy that I don't even realize that I'm doing. I would be able to practice what I preach a little bit more, because I do have a sneaky wish to coach and help people with this very issue, cloaked around a whole lot of other things. And I think I would get rid of the terror that is probably like a really old terror of ill health. My family, my family of origin, have all struggled with health issues of one sort or another, and I can clearly see lifestyle factors have attributed to that. So it's funny until you are asked a direct question, you don't realise what's going on inside your brain. Yeah, I'm very frightened of aging ungracefully.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah.
So the benefits you would have is you would have kind of more energy, because this whole battle takes a lot of energy.
Huge.
Yeah, you would maybe be able to kind of practice what you preach and possibly even help others. And you also wouldn't have this, extra burden of, man, this could be causing me health issues, and I wouldn't age gracefully and be healthy into the future. Does that all ring true? I'm just trying to feedback what you just said to me.
Surely does. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to be dependent.
Got it.
Unnecessarily of my own hand.
Okay. So I got enough information right now so I can give you some thoughts and some advice and just kind of my take on what's happening for you. And again, remember, we're trying to cram 6 months to a year's worth of work in one session. So a lot of what I'm going to be giving you is what I would call the punchline. Meaning here's where I would want to help you get to if I was seeing you for a long period of time. Because basically I'm hearing out your wish. Here's what you want to change. You don't want to, have this part of you where you're going to the sugar and going to the cakes and going to the stuff that you don't want to eat, but you do it anyway. And I also heard there's a part of you that wants to look different. And I had to poke and prod a little bit to get that out of you, i.e. lose some of the body fat and some of the roles that you don't like that also you feel hold you back a little bit. Because you mentioned, when I'm on when I'm around somebody who's potential, I start to notice myself kind of thinking like judging my own body. I'm paraphrasing, but that shows up. So I'm saying that's a concern in there. And then there's, the health piece of like, wow, I want to be healthy. So here's what I want to say. Oftentimes when we're going against our own good wishes, I know what I want to do, I just don't do it. We always have a reason. We're not that dumb. There's always a reason why we're going against our own wishes. There's another wish, or there's another momentum in us that's stronger than our wish. So when I hear your challenge where you say, hey, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to eat this stuff, but I eat it anyway. So the first place my mind goes is, okay, so there's probably a part of you that is more invested in eating it, and it has a good reason. So if I can find out what that good reason is about why you would want to go against your own best wishes, then we have a place to work. Then we have an understanding. So here's what I want to suggest to you, and this is a little bit advanced. This is kind of like I'm going to call it a PhD tactic or understanding. Not every system or few systems of psychology, and in particular eating psychology, would think this, understand it, or relate to it, but there's all different kinds of psychology. And we're practicing here the kind of approach, don't even call it psychology, just human design, how we are designed as human beings to think and feel and operate. And what happens is, consider this. Here's what I want to say to you. Every time you go into this experience called, I know what I'm supposed to eat, but then I ate that piece of cake and I felt really good when I was doing it. And then afterwards, I felt bad and guilty. And then my rebel came out and said, screw all of you. And then if I'm not careful from there, things could go downhill. Maybe yes, maybe no. What I'm saying is that scenario called go against my best wishes, go against what's right, feel good in the process, then feel bad, and then say screw you to everybody. That's a pattern that has a different origin. So there's an origin to that pattern that happened earlier in life is what I'm going to guess. And every time you go into that pattern, it's repeating a consciousness that exists inside of us. We're literally repeating this programming. So there is the part of you that truly, part of you, part of me, part of all of us, that wants to enjoy. Give me the candy, give me the sugar, give me whatever it is I like, and let me enjoy it. Okay, makes perfect sense. I got no problem with that. And then afterwards, I feel guilty. It's kind of like Adam and Eve. They took a bite of the apple and then they felt guilty. It's kind of like anytime you do something, maybe you jumped in the sack with somebody and it felt really good. And then maybe you felt guilty afterwards. So you're not the first person to do something pleasurable and then feel guilty. We humans have a weird relationship with pleasure. It often throws us into guilt because we haven't always been taught how to just love on our bodies and absorb pleasure and enjoy it. So you've had this thing about your body and food from a young age because you were getting messages from the environment, you're not okay. We don't love you. We're making fun of you, as a matter of fact, because of your shape. Then you got messages when, you had this voluptuous body. Then you got messages of, we love you. We like this. And that still didn't feel comfortable. Which I find kind of interesting. And this happens to a lot of people. And you also said, I want to make sure I don't lose this one. You also said to me, when I look back at pictures of me now, I thought I was so fat. I thought I didn't look good. And I look back on those pictures, I'm like, wow, you're okay. What I want to say first and foremost is 20 years from now, you could look at a picture of you today at age 53 and go, what was I thinking? Why was I making myself so freaking crazy? I don't want you to do that 10 years from now or 20 years from now or 30 years from now. That's the pattern we want to stop because the mind gets co-opted. The mind gets programmed. The mind gets confused and distorted like a bad software program from all the nonsense that's swimming around in the environment. It says you're supposed to look like this, you're supposed to look like that. You got it at a young age because it exists in society. Kids pick it up really quickly. Kids can be brutal. And all you and I are concerned with as kids is we want to be liked and loved. We want people to like us. All kids want to know, I'm okay, I'm lovable, you like me. When we're not feeling lovable and you like me, problems happen from there. Especially there's a lot of weight hate in the world. There's a lot of judgment against body shape that is nonsense, that's unfounded, that's toxic. And we believe that they're true. There's a part of our brains that get convinced this body indeed isn't right. It isn't okay. It isn't lovable. So you bought into that, just like most other people do. It's a bad belief. It's a toxic virus that we catch, and it distorts the mind, and we think it's true. There's this underlying assumption that this is actually true. This body isn't good, so I have to change it. Now, what happens is because we don't get the kind of start in life where we're given confidence, we're given positive feedback. Even when you do have the right body, it still doesn't register for you. Even when you did get the attention and wow, here's people loving you. Here's guys wanting you, and it doesn't feel safe because you haven't yet learned how to feel safe, which is totally understandable. You haven't learned how to feel safe. The world isn't safe. There's all these guys wanting to get in bed with me. That's not safe. That's correct. It's not safe until you know how to manage that and handle it. So really what it is for you is you've never felt safe.
No.
You've never felt safe. In being in whatever the hell the body you had, you don't feel safe. So it's not about making the body look a certain way so you feel good about yourself, because you have had different bodies and they look different. And the deeper issue it's a life issue, it's a soul issue, is you feeling safe in this world. Now here's the thing. The world ain't a safe place. You got to look when you cross the street because it ain't safe. There's certain neighborhoods you don't go into. It ain't safe. There's certain countries you don't visit and just walk around anywhere. They might be in wartime. It ain't safe. I can go on and on. There's certain people you don't hang out with. Ain't safe. There's certain drugs you shouldn't take. Not safe. There's a part of you that wants ultimate safety. And the way that reflects is, I don't want to get old. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get diseased. And the reality is, every human that came before me and you has gotten old at some point. If they indeed didn't die first, they get old, and we die of something. We will get unhealthy at some point. So there's no escaping that, and to fear that is totally understandable and legitimate. most humans have a deep fear of death, dying, and aging. And we don't want to end up decrepit and in pain and just looking like a mess. And the truth is, we don't know what's going to happen. That boogeyman, that big fear, kind of has you right now. And grappling with that, dealing with that, managing with that, learning from it, in my languaging, I'm going to call it a spiritual act. I'm going to call it a place where you have to tap into something higher in you and start to wrap yourself around the fact that we age, we get unhealthy, and we die no matter what you eat. And I want to tell you something. So far, what you've described, the way you eat, is probably a better diet than a majority of people on the planet. Already. There's a lot of people who are following a lot worse diets, or they don't have enough food, or they don't have enough healthy food in their environment. So what you're doing, food-wise, you're still in the top 1% of people on planet Earth in terms of taking care of yourself. You follow me? How you doing so far? I know I'm hitting you with some hard stuff here.
Yep. No, I'm hearing you. I'm good.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going. I know this is a little intense because I'm doing my best to strike right to where the action is here. You know, from when you were young, the one thing you had that saved you was the rebellious part of you. The part of you that goes, screw it, I'm going to just enjoy this. Essentially what you're saying is, screw it to all you people who are judging me. Screw it to all you people making fun of me. Screw it to this consciousness that says that my body isn't lovable and acceptable and that I'm not lovable and acceptable. Screw it to all those people who are making fun of me. How dare you? How dare you? The appropriate response is outrage. However, as young people, as youngsters, we don't have that available to us. Because we're still young, we're still immature, we're still growing. Rage is not good if you're a young kid, especially a young girl, because that doesn't buy you a lot. So you have to kind of be good and you have to get quiet as a survival strategy. So, okay, if I'm quiet enough, nobody's going to see me, so I won't be made fun of. So part of you wants to be invisible, but there's another part that goes, screw this invisibility bullshit. I'm me. I'm going to do what I want. So that rebel part of you, so when you tell me I rebel, what I hear is, thank goodness. It's that part of you that is rebelling against the absolute nonsense that has come your way as a human being on planet Earth, telling you that you're not good enough for the body that you have and the person that you are. It's nonsense. It's an attack. We don't know how to defend ourselves, so we try to defend ourselves. You know what a good way to defend yourself is? If a lion's chasing you, you run somewhere and you hide. That's actually a wise survival strategy. Another survival strategy, you try to fight the lion. Not such a good strategy. If you're a human, chances are they're going to win. Or you run away really freaking fast. So those are brilliant survival strategies. So you use the survival strategy called hiding, and that doesn't work. At the end of the day, you can't hide from life. And then the survival strategy called the rebel comes out. The rebel's the part that flexes your muscles and goes, wait a second, I'm my own person. So when you eat the cake, it's you looking, it's symbolically. This is on a symbolic level. The psyche, the mind, the emotions are very symbolic. They act in symbolic ways. You'll see certain people with psychological conditions, they'll wash their hands 100 times in a day. It's a symbolic act that means something to the psyche. It's not that that person's so screwed up. Yeah, they have a behavior they can't stop repeating, but there's a reason for it. So your symbolic behavior is you're wanting pleasure. You're wanting to feel good. And then when you feel good, you go into guilt because that's what we've been taught. You should feel guilty because sugar's bad and it's going to make me unhealthy and I'm going to get fat and all this sort of thing. And maybe you don't feel so great when you eat it. So you're feeling guilty now. So now you're feeling the guilt that you're reliving that you felt just being you. oh my God, I'm this kid, I'm in the world, let's play, let's have fun, let's have pleasure, and then no, you're made to feel guilty. So that's what the eating experience does. It reproduces that whole thing. I'm a kid that wants to have fun and play, but I'm made to feel guilty, and at some point, my rebel's going to come out. So I'm going to eat what I want, I'm going to do what I want, I'm going to live the life I want. I'm sure there's a part of you that's probably rebelled in other ways. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah? So
Yeah.
that's a good part of you. So I like the rebel in you.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a reframe. You need more of that. But I want you to use your rebel to rebel against this belief that A, we're going to live forever, B, we're not going to get old, and C, rebel against the belief that somehow you can guarantee yourself the kind of health that's going to make you nice and comfortable. So there's a part of you, I think, that needs to learn how to just let go and trust. And this is you need to kind of do a personal spiritual encounter, meditate every night when you're ready to go to bed. I want you to lie in bed and think about death and dying. Think about all the people who've come before you who've died. Think about how people that you've known have aged. Think about what you're afraid of. Think about what you're not afraid of. What do you want it to look like? What don't you want it to look like? And just play with it. But I want you to see if you can embrace someday I will die. It's going to happen. And I will get old and I don't have control. We have control in that we do the best we can. We eat as best we can. I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever met any people who really had a good lifestyle? They ate good food, took good care of themselves, and they got sick young and have health issues at a younger age? Have you seen that before?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I know a ton of people like that who have the best diets and they exercise their brains out and they drop dead of a heart attack at 44. I've seen it. I've seen people die a lot younger
major athletes.
Major athletes, yeah. So what I'm saying is there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. And part of you is saying, well, this is a health issue. I need to eat this way for a health issue. I think I believe you partly. Because I think the fear of death and aging is running you a little bit, which is understandable because it runs all of us. But I think there's another part where you're also wanting to change your body and change your body fat. I think that's also very important to you, more important than I think you realize. Because if you change that, somehow life is going to be better and you might get a guy. The fact that you're with a potential person in your environment and you start worrying about your looks and thinking about body fat, that says to me that fear is in there, that belief is in there. And now it's coming out into your consciousness. So what I'm saying is a lot of people, I've heard this happen, a lot of people say, oh, I need to change my diet for health issues. It's like, no, you're fine. Health-wise, you're fine. You're doing great. Are you perfect? No, but nobody is. And even the perfect people still get old and still get sick and still die, sometimes long before you and I do. So there's no guarantees in this game. Absolutely none. So what I'm saying is there's a little bit of, if I change my body, things are going to be a little better here. If I change my body fat. So I want you to start to encounter that more and begin to see how it's not a good strategy. I want you to make what's most important, most important. It's most important for you to have the life you want to live. It sounds like relationship is important for you. It sounds like what you do in the world in terms of your gift, your service, that's important to you. So the things that are important to you should be placed first and foremost. Losing a little bit of body fat, okay, it would be nice, but geez, it runs us. And you said to me, one of the benefits you would get if I didn't have this anymore, I'd have more energy. And you wisely pointed out, because there's this battle going on that I think drains a lot of my energy, maybe more than I know. And I'm saying 100% correct. But think about this. If you'd have more energy if you didn't have this battle, what would make the battle stop? Part of your brain thinks the battle's going to stop when I get rid of the body fat and I eat perfectly, and then I won't be in this battle. And that's backwards. Because you never will eat perfectly. I don't know anyone who does, and the ones who do are kind of generally miserable. Okay, I don't know anybody who's gotten their body to be exactly what they want it to be, and when they do, it doesn't stay there for long. And that's the game we play. So the only way to have more energy by not being in the battle is to let go of the battle. Because you're the one that's calling for war. You're the one that's warring on your body fat. You're the one that's saying, I have to eat a certain way, and if I don't, I'm going to be in misery. And I'm going to be in struggle. So I'm saying you got to call a ceasefire. Because it's you attacking you, and you have to call the ceasefire. And this is self-evolution. This is you getting control of your mind, because right now your mind is fighting against itself. There's two different camps up here. And when I'm saying this to you, this is everybody I know are in battles in their mind. And if we don't get clear and conscious about what those battles are and what the setup is, the battle continues. Mm-hmm. And we're just kind of standing by watching and being casualties of that war and feeling abused and feeling like we never get what we want. But the battle's going on inside your brain, and the battle is, I need to eat a certain way and look a certain way so then I can get this result, which will be I'm going to be comfortable, my weight's going to be just right so I can attract a mate, and my diet's going to be just right so I can be nice and healthy and somehow age gracefully, and I don't know, whatever happens after that. So all I'm saying is I want you to let go of that battle. I want you to just say, what if this was your body for the rest of your life? Assume this is like the body you have right now ain't going to change. This is it. It's going to be just like this in terms of weight and shape. Can you love it? Can you say, okay, this is what I got? Because you haven't yet done that for yourself. You've been waiting for the world to kind of give you that outside approval. Okay, Jody, we love you now. Just like you are. It's safe. You have to make safety in an unsafe world. You make safety by saying, Jody, I love you no matter what. The world didn't tell you that. Kids didn't tell you that. Chances are your parents didn't necessarily tell you that. We love you no matter what. Your dad definitely inferred, okay, this part of you needs to change. I still love you, haha, but look at this. So you you heard the message. You heard the message that he was delivering, which is, this isn't good enough for me. You're not really exactly loved for how you look, for who you are. So you got that message at a young age. It's not fair. It's terrible. I wish we could change that. Your dad was doing the best he can. Your mom did the best she can. People do the best that they can. Parents do the best they can. It's not about blaming your parents, but it's seeing where we came from. It's seeing where we came from and realizing that you're not that kid anymore. You're not that kid who's helpless. But sometimes we act like that kid that we were way back when. We still act that way. So you have to say, I'm going to create safety for myself in this world by not abandoning myself. By not saying to myself, oh, I don't love you exactly because look at these rolls and look at this and look at that and look at how you're eating. I want you to be able to love yourself no matter what you eat, no matter what you look like, and forgive yourself. What would happen if every time you ate the muffin, your best friend tells you, I don't love you anymore. You suck. I don't want to be your friend. You're not good enough for me. Wow, that would be terrible to have friends like that. But that's what we say to ourselves. So you got to be a better friend to yourself. You have to be a best friend to yourself, because every time you go into criticism, especially at this point in the game, especially in your 50s, You're killing yourself. It's a soul killing. It's a soul attack. Now, I'm being heavy here, but the good news is you can call a ceasefire in any moment and say, wait a second. Even though I ate the sugar, I still love myself. Kind of sucks. Wish I wouldn't have done that. Want to change next time, but I am going to stand by myself. Even though I look like this, I'm still going to love myself. And I'm going to learn how to enjoy this. Because as you do that, the way you're gravitating towards sugar is going to start to change. It's not about you stopping the behavior called I go for sugar. Sure, we could tie your hands behind your back or something, or, staple your mouth shut. We could do extreme measures to make sure you don't do that behavior, but that doesn't solve anything. You're not going to change the behavior by attacking the behavior. In this case, there's little tricks you could do. You can make sure you have enough healthy protein in your diet, make sure you have enough healthy fat. Every time you feel a sugar craving, a great thing to do is have some vegetable broth or some miso broth, or like any kind of mineral broth, like miso soup. Like they have instant miso soup, mineralizes your system really quick, alkalinizes your system fast. It can take away a craving. That's a help, but it's still, and it's really good, but it's still not going to get to the bottom of what's really happening, which is you're going to gravitate towards the sugar because it's only pure pleasure you give yourself sometimes.
I call them treats. I call it treats.
Because you're constantly beating yourself up. You're not self-approving. If I'm not self-approving, if I'm in a constant state of I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, there's a little background noise, I should really not be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that, I should look different, then we want to get the hell out of that mindset. And sometimes the only way to do that is through drugs. And drugs, it might be alcohol, it might be sugar, it might be certain kinds of sugar, it might be ice cream, it might be cake, it might be gambling, it might be some kind of addiction, but we need pleasure, for God's sakes. We need to feel good because humans are designed to seek pleasure and avoid pain. You cannot beat yourself up all the time. At some point, we got to go, time out already, I need some goodies. So actually, when you're going for sugar, you're trying to relieve yourself of the pain, check this out, of self-attack. I'm going to say that again. When you're going for the sugar, a part of you is trying to relieve yourself of the pain of self-attack and self-judgment. And I'm not good enough. Which is the same thing that happened early on in your life. I'm being attacked. I'm not being loved. I'm not good enough. Sugar's going to make you feel better. And it's faithful. Every time you do it, you feel good.
Always there.
It doesn't disappoint you,
there.
and it's always there. So what I want to say is, Jody, it's a brilliant strategy. It's a smart strategy because we need, as humans, to feel some good and to feel some pleasure and bliss because life is hard. Life isn't easy. Few people do I know will say, my life is easy. So life is not easy. So you need to feel a little bit of goodies, and that's why you go for the sugar. So what I'm saying is you have to start to go on a program of self-love. You got to call off the attack. Stop changing your body. Stop wanting to change your body. Every time you catch yourself thinking, oh my God, look at this body fat, or I want to change this, I want you to catch yourself and drop into a moment of self-appreciation. So here's an idea, here's a practice that'll help you do this. Every night, before you go to sleep, when you're in bed, I want you to have a little journal, and it's a gratitude journal. And you write down what you're grateful for that happened in the day. Little things, big things, tiny things, something somebody said, something that happened. What are you grateful for? But I always want you to include at least 5 bullet points of what you're grateful for about your body and your health. I'm grateful today that I got through the day and, I'm okay. I lived. I'm grateful that I could take a walk. I'm grateful that I'm still healthy. I'm grateful that I still have my wits about me. I'm grateful that even though I'm 53, I'm still vibrant and I still love life and I still love experiences and I have good people around me. and our beautiful children.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. You spend a lot of time thinking what you don't have and thinking about the bad stuff that's going to happen. I'm wanting to shift that into trusting life more, trusting in the unknown. So the gratitude journal will start to put you in the moment of appreciating what you have and letting go of trying to change your body and noticing the places where you abandon yourself. Abandoning yourself means you treat yourself like other people treated you.
Yeah.
You've taken their nonsense and put it into your brain. That's what happens to us as humans. We take the outside voices, mother, father, school, people, media. We introject it. We put it inside our own brains, and it becomes the program that runs us. So I'm saying that program's been running you, and now we're going to take conscious action and change that program.
Yeah.
So do what you're doing. When you eat sugar, I want you to slow down, relax, and enjoy it. And if you feel guilty afterwards, I want you to then go into forgiveness. Can I forgive myself for being imperfect? Can I love myself even though I ate that sugar? And what I want to say is I would like for you to have something small every day. I'd like for you to have some small treat every day. I want you to plan it in. Every day I have a small treat. It's part of your game plan. You're trying to get rid of it. I'm saying that hasn't worked, so let's just accept it.
Yeah.
Have the muffin. If you want to cut it down to half, great. If you can't, fine. Have the chocolate bar. If you want to eat half of it, great. If you can't, fine. But I really want you to enjoy it. Plan on it. It's part of your day. And I would love for you to go back to the same places and not have to go to different places and go for the junk, and be proud that you're going for your treat every day. I'm treating myself.
Okay.
That's going to be hard, huh?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
It's sort of like going into the skid.
Yeah. This is you coming out. This is you coming out and being you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's time to stop worrying about what you think the world is thinking. It's time to stop worrying about what you think other people's opinions are. I guarantee you nobody's sitting in that coffee shop thinking, oh my God, there she is again. That's in your head. And you know something? If anybody's thinking that, they're not your friend. You're not interested in them. Cross them off the list. Thank God they're so dumb, because now you know, stay away from them. You could eat the perfect diet and there's still people who are going to hate on you. You could eat the worst diet and there's people who are going to love on you. You know, there's always going to be the lovers, the haters, and everybody else in between. Doesn't matter who you are, what you eat, and what you look like.
Yeah. Yeah. The trying to keep everybody happy thing has been a theme, and I have been able to work through, in other aspects of my life. But that's it. That's the driving force in the little complex thing that's going on up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you don't love other people and you don't care about them. But when you're leading first with, how can I make you happy? How can I make you happy? You disempower yourself and you end up in unhappiness because it doesn't work. We can't make everyone happy. You're going to...
Like you said, the running from the fear, having the fear run.
Yeah. Once you stop running from yourself and running from the truth of who you are and trying to make people happy and trying to run away from pleasure and trying to run away from self-love and trying to run towards some goal that's never going to happen, once you just stop running and say, okay, here's me. You've been on the planet long enough. This is you. You know, parts of you that are great, parts of you that are not so perfect. Great. Welcome to the human family. You know, We're all the same. We all have the things we're good at, things we're not so good at. We look how we look. And it's time for you to own it and spend the rest of your life as best as humanly possible enjoying what you got and celebrating it and living life from that place instead of trying to posture in position and walk around the world as if you're a criminal because you're trying to get a little bit of pleasure somewhere. So you deserve to feel good. You deserve pleasure. And this is your body. And it's going to fluctuate. You're going to gain weight. You're going to lose weight. You're going to be healthy. Then you're going to get sick. And then you'll get healthy again. And then it's the same thing that every human goes through. And it's not abandoning yourself. You standing by yourself like a good friend, like a good mother, and say, I'm going to love you no matter what. Do you abandon your kids because they ate sugar? You don't do that. Do you hate on your kids because they have body fat? No. So stop doing it to you. Be a little nicer.
Yeah.
You got some good homework here, Jody. Right?
I sure do.
Yeah. So I just threw a lot into your court there. I really threw a lot, but I want to tell you where I came from in this session. Where I came from is if you were my sister, if you were my relative, and this was the only time we ever would get to talk about this. And if I was going to leave this thing and die and ascend to heaven, and this was my last session, here's what I would say to you. Here's what I would say to you so you can get where you want to go quickest. I want to kind of circumvent and move around all the nonsense. Well, and there's all kinds of dietary tweaks to help you eat less sugar. And somebody could say, just use your willpower and don't eat the sugar. For some people, that might work. But for you, what I'm getting is there's something very different going on, which is what I've been talking about. And honestly, your little sugar thing ain't so bad. It really isn't. Relative to what other people have, you think it's so bad. It's really you playing out the drama in your mind that has you going from I'm not loved, I'm not accepted, to I need some pleasure, to then I feel guilty, to then I rebel. That's been your life.
Yep.
Forget about the sugar. That's been your life.
Yep.
So now we're saying, okay, let's change that whole pattern and not live life from that reactive automatic pattern. So we interrupt that pattern. And the way you interrupt that pattern is with self-love, is with self-acceptance, is with catching yourself when you're self-attacking with negative thoughts and saying to yourself, would I want my friend talking to me like this? Would I talk like this to my children? The answer is always, no, I wouldn't. And then you catch yourself and you turn it off in that moment. And it's a practice. You're not going to get it perfect the first time. It's a daily practice of changing how you are thinking and believing about yourself and the world. And gradually you're going to hit a point where you're going to skyrocket. And you're going to leave all this. I promise you, you practice that, you're going to hit a point where you're going to leave this nonsense behind. And you're going to be you for the first time in your life. Like, I would love for you to have the experience being alive and saying, here I am. Ain't nothing more to change.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more to change. Yeah. Are you going to still grow? Yes. Are you going to still get better? Yes. But there's nothing more to change for us to love you more. Mm-hmm. Or for you to love you more. This is you. Yeah. Your kids are going to change. And you still love them the same amount. It's like, I last more. No. It's like they're going to change, you're going to change. But there's no way you have to change at this point for anyone to love you more, including you. Once you get that, then ta-da, here you are. And you're living your life for the first time. Truly. I believe you can do this.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think you can?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
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 It's busy up here.
It is busy up here. Here's what I want to suggest. Because, like I said, this is a very intense conversation. So what I want to see, what I would suggest is after we finish this conversation, in another minute or so, give yourself some time in a weird way to see if you could not think so much. Mm-hmm. Just 10 or 15 minutes, maybe take a walk. Yeah. And just get out of your mind, because there's another part of you that's going to absorb. I just want to say one last piece about you. This is observationally. You have a very strong mind and a very sharp mind, and your mind is very active. And it's your go-to place to figure things out. You like to figure things out, and you like to take things and spin them in every different direction. And that's great. That's a tremendous talent and skill, and it can also be a disadvantage when we spend too much time up in Command Central here. So what I want you to do after this conversation is see if you can take a walk, quiet your mind, and just feel. Just feel. Feel the feelings that you're feeling as opposed to think words. And as soon as you feel a feeling, I don't care what it is, see if you can feel those feelings without saying, oh, I'm feeling this because or wow. Don't go into thoughts about the feelings.
Yeah.
Just feel.
Just feel it.
And then later on, you could think about stuff and take notes for yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
So see, and you're already doing it right now. It's like you're dropping in more, and that's where you're going to transform. You're not going to transform up here. You're going to transform in here, in your body, by feeling. Because there's a lot of course correction that's going to happen for you from this session, but you have to allow yourself to feel it, which means quieting down, slowing down, unhooking your mind, and letting your body feel. It's as simple as that. Yeah, good for you. Good for you. That's the appropriate response. I love it. Jody, you got your homework in front of you. I'll send you an email with my notes from this session. Thank you for being so brave. Thank you for sharing so generously. I just want to let you know this was for you, but it's also for all of us, because there's a lot of people who are on this journey who have the same or very similar story as you do. So you're not alone in this. And even though you're unique, and this was for you, there's also a service happening there by really generously sharing your own journey. So thank you for that. I really mean that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. You take care of yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm Marc David. On behalf of the Psychology of Eating podcast, lots more to come. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for listening to the Psychology of Eating podcast. To learn more about the breakthrough body of work we teach here at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, please sign up for our free video series at ipe.tips. That's I for Institute, P for Psychology, E for Eating.tips, TIPS. You'll learn about the cutting-edge principles of dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition that have helped millions of people forever transform their relationship with food, body, and health.